evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, September 15th meeting of the Tuckahoe Village Board of Trustees. And will everyone please stand for the pledge of the flag? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the deputy clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Giordano.
Present.
Trustee Quigley.
Present.
Trustee Luisi.
Present.
Trustee Alfasi.
Present.
Mayor Eklund.
I am here tonight. We have no appointments, presentations, or public hearings for tonight. So that's going to bring us to the adoption of minutes. Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of August 18th, 2014. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Trustee Giordano.
Favor.
Trustee Quigley.
Abstain.
Trustee Luisi.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. Approval of the minutes of the special meeting of August 26, 2014. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Trustee Giordano.
Favor.
Trustee Quigley.
In favor.
Trustee Luisi.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. Do we have any correspondence this month?
No, we do not.
Nothing at all. That's going to bring us to our first opportunity to address the board on anything that's on our agenda tonight, which will then bring us to resolutions. And I have resolution number 1, approving the Senior Citizens Council request for the use of the Tuckahoe trolley for transportation on Saturday, September 27th, 2014, the second Salute to Seniors Day in Bronxville. The route begins at 9:30 in the morning at the Bronxville train station and then proceeds to Midland Gardens and then around the block to end at the Bronxville High School front lawn. There is no return trip. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Trustee Giordano.
Favor.
Trustee Quigley.
In favor.
Trustee Luisi.
In favor.
Trustee Hayes. Oh.
Wow.
She says in favor.
Trustee Alfasi. Mayor Eklund.
In favor. Resolution number 2 is authorizing the mayor to sign and enter into a contract with the National Joint Powers Alliance for a free membership to their contract purchasing cooperative. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Trustee Giordano.
In favor.
Trustee Quigley.
In favor.
Trustee Luisi.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. And by the way, I'm sure Jeanette's at home watching and laughing right now, too. Resolution number 3 is approving amendment to the lease dated January 15, 2012, between the Village of Tuckahoe and Stephen L. Alfasi, Esquire. This is permitting the lease to be terminated on September 30th. That's this month, 2014. Do I have a motion?
Have some discussion, Mr. Mayor?
Oh, sure. Actually, let me get a second first, and then we'll talk about it. Second?
Second.
And discussion.
Thank you. No, I just wanted to say, to inform the public, the reason why and I was the one who asked the board, if it would entertain my terminating this lease at this moment. And the reason being is I've joined a firm in White Plains, Gaines, Novick, Ponzini, Casso, and Venditti. I'm heading up their Trust and Estates Division and a couple of other things, veterans benefits, immigration, etc. So it's truly a bittersweet occasion. I've been here for a couple of years now. It's been wonderful being in the building. Everyone has treated me with the utmost respect and just friendliness. Anyone visiting Village Hall will find that to be true. I want to thank, again, it was Mayor Fitzpatrick who first entered the agreement to rent out the space. And it's a wonderful space, and it's going to go to a wonderful person. And I believe that wonderful person is our new village administrator. He'll be taking over the office and using it well. Thank you.
Thank you. It's true, he needs the space, and it's a good office, so, and thanks for your business for all the years.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Trustee Giordano.
In favor.
Trustee Quigley.
In favor.
Trustee Luisi.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
Abstain.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. Resolution number 4 is approving the Junior League of Bronxville's request for the use of the Tuckahoe trolley to remain stationary at the Immaculate Conception School parking lot on Saturday, September 20th, between the hours of 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. for the Junior League of Bronxville's Touch a Truck event. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Trustee Giordano.
Favor.
Trustee Quigley.
In favor.
Trustee Luise.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. Resolution number 5 is authorizing the village clerk to issue a special cabaret license to Gina Maurice Chianti, 174 Marbledale Road, for live music for a birthday party on September 27th from 7 to 11 p.m. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Trustee Giordano.
In favor.
Trustee Quigley.
In favor.
Trustee Luise.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. Resolution number 6 is approving the Columbus State Committee of Eastchester Tuckahoe's request to close off Depot Square for their annual Columbus Day celebration and St. Pio Feast on September 19th, 20th, and 21st, 2014. The event hours on September 19th and 20th is from 5 to 11 p.m., and on September 21st, from noon to 8 p.m. In addition, they request approval of the use of village streets for 2 processions. September 19th, the procession begins at Assumption Church at 7 o'clock and it ends in Depot Square. And then on September 21st, the closing procession will leave Depot Square between 7 and 7:30 and end at the Assumption Church. A further request is made to use for the use of the Tuckahoe trolley on Friday, September 19th, and again on Sunday, September 21st, to transport participants from the church to Depot Square and back to the church. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Trustee Giordano.
In favor.
Trustee Quigley.
In favor.
Trustee Luise.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. Resolution number 7 is reopening Section 384-D of the Retirement and Social Security Law for Christopher J. Santiago, as set forth in Chapter 143, Laws of 2014. Be it resolved that the governing board of the Village of Tuckahoe does hereby assume the additional cost required to provide the reopening of Section 384-D of the Retirement and Social Security Law pursuant to Chapter 143 of the Laws of 2014. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Trustee Giordano.
Favor.
Trustee Quigley.
In favor.
Trustee Luise.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. Resolution number 8 is awarding a bid for the Tuckahoe Community Center roof project to WB Contracting Corp. in the amount of $267,000. 4 bids were received, ranging in price from $267,000 to $344,000. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Trustee Giordano.
In favor.
Trustee Quigley.
In favor.
Trustee Luise.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. Resolution number 9 is approving payment of vouchers in the same amount of $461,422, consisting of abstract number 13, $202,413, number 14, $3,371, number 15, $152,422, and abstract number 17 for $103,214. The 3 largest invoices paid were $121,137 for employee health insurance premiums for the month of September this year, $45,719 for the Tuckahoe Union Free School District tax, and $40,677 for street paving. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Trustee Giordano.
In favor.
Trustee Quigley.
In favor.
Trustee Luise.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. Resolution number 10 is approving an extension of the license agreement between the Village of Tuckahoe and the Town of Eastchester and the Town of Eastchester Senior Nutrition Program for a period not to exceed 6 more months. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Trustee Giordano.
In favor.
Trustee Quigley.
In favor.
Trustee Luise.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. And that will bring us to our departmental reports of the board, and we're going to start with our village administrator, Mr. Burke.
Hello? Yeah, it's
There
on.
you go.
All I have is one quick. I wanted to say thank you to Johnny Galuzzi and everyone that had anything to do with the Tuckahoe Road Race this past weekend. It was my first time experiencing that. And it was actually it was a it was a fun event. It was a nice community event that Tuckahoe puts on. I was really happy to be there and see how that goes on and the volunteerism and all that. So that was great. I know maybe we have some residents out today, but I just wanted to report that we did have a meeting with some of the businesses in the Crestwood area about some of the problems, some of the parking conditions that are going on down there. And I just want to remind everyone that the Fisher Avenue parking lot will be closed starting September 22nd. And that's all I have for today.
Okay, thank you. That'll bring us to our chief of police.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. I just wanted to comment on a program the Tuckahoe Police Department has been involved in since 2010. A few weeks back, we were included in an article in the Journal News that spoke about the Department of Defense excess property program. We have been involved in this program, more commonly referred to as a 1033 program, since, again, 2010. The program has been around since about 1990. It's a program where the Department of Defense releases equipment to law enforcement agencies for their use, equipment that otherwise would be either destroyed or sold. It ranges from some mundane things like office furniture and computers to heavy armored vehicles and weapons. Over the course of the years, the program exists is that we sign into the program, we are able through a website look at equipment that's available. It's usually in certain military facilities. The closest ones to us are Fort Drum up in upstate New York and another facility out in Pennsylvania. Both are about a 6-hour drive. We're able to look onto their website to see what equipment is available, and if the equipment fits a need for the Village of Tuckahoe Police Department, we look into acquiring that equipment. In 2013, we were pretty successful in identifying equipment that we felt that we needed. We acquired a 2010 Humvee vehicle. It's not an armored vehicle. It only had 4,000 miles on it. It was valued at over $38,000. We were able to get that equipment here to Tuckahoe. The use for us here is during inclement weather, whether it be a snowstorm or, more importantly, flooding conditions where we have to have vehicles go through high water, which we've experienced in some of the storms we had over the last 3 or 4 years. We're able to deliver police services to those areas, whether it be a medical aided job or anything that we would need to get into that area, even putting up flares and barricades, blocking the roadway. Sometimes it's getting people out of those areas, evacuations. So we felt that there was a need for this Humvee. We acquired it. It was free of charge to the village, and it has come in good use already in some of the more recent storms. We acquired a John Deere excavator. Again, the value was over nearly $34,000, and that's to remove debris during storms. And when we're not using it in a storm-related incident, it's stored down at the Department of Public Works. It's free for them to use for just regular operations. It was a piece of equipment that they were looking to buy anyway, so it was a win-win all the way around. We've acquired some compressor units. We've also lastly acquired 5 M16 rifles. And these rifles, first the department made a decision whether or not to deploy patrol rifles. And after researching, doing our due diligence, we felt that it was necessary in this day and age to have rifles available to our police officers. We were going to purchase the rifles. We were instead able to get them through this 1033 program. They are M16 rifles, but they are Colt rifles that have a 28 round magazine, and we converted them from fully automatic weapons to to semi-automatic. What that means is that the trigger has to be pulled for each shot that's taken. It's not a machine gun, to put it in layman terms. Again, this was a decision that was made prior to not just getting, a toy from the federal government. It was a well-thought-out decision whether or not we needed these to have them available to our patrol officers. And once that decision was made, we looked down the route of seeing if we could get them for free rather than paying over $1,000 per weapon. And what's important is that, in this day and age, I think law enforcement has to be prepared for the worst-case scenario. If we look at some recent incidents that have happened, unfortunately, across our country, active shooters that go on in the workplace and in our schools, any law enforcement executive has to prepare their people for those instances. We hope that we never have to use the equipment or the training that we put into these scenarios, but I think we would be neglecting our duties if we weren't preparing our people for those scenarios. So I think it was important for me to discuss this issue this evening. I think there's been some bad press and some, misinformation out there about the 1033 program and what police departments are using this equipment for. I think it's been a great asset, not only for the village of Tuckahoe, but for law enforcement across our country. We have to put a certain amount of trust into the people that we put in place to uphold the law. And the important part of this is that we train our officers properly, we deploy this equipment and the weapons properly. It's never used to intimidate somebody. It's used as a last resort. And I'm confident that we've done very well in this program, and that not only do we have this equipment in place, but we have extensive training for every single member of the department. And again, we train and work very hard for these worst-case scenarios, and we pray that we never have to use them.
We live in a different world today, and it's better be safe than sorry, so.
So I just, again, I thought it was important for, since we were in that article, it was important for me to get that message out to our residents that this is how we participate in the program and what we're using the equipment for. Any questions from members of the board?
Chief, I have a question. How is it determined, when you have these weapons, are they available? In other words, are they kept in some type of custody that you can disclose to the public as to how they're, in other words, is there access to, for all of the law enforcement officers, to those weapons as required, or is it something where they have to, there's a process where they need to check in?
There's a policy in place on when and how they should be deployed. So in other words, there's a very, very strict guidelines on when they'll be deployed and how they're deployed. They are currently now in our armory. However, our plans are, and very recently, is to have them in certain vehicles so that they're available for every tour, 24 hours a day. However, they'll be locked in a hard case, and again, only used if absolutely necessary.
Chief, I think we can all fall back on the adage, better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. There was someone from Putt Valley who's now was working down as sheriff. He was killed in the line of duty by a perpetrator using an AK-47, and it was a domestic violence call. And unfortunately, his bulletproof vest wasn't sufficient enough to prevent his passing. So you're right. This is the world we live in today.
I mean, unfortunately, if you look to some of the high profile events that have happened in Aurora, Colorado, or Newton, Connecticut, they affect small towns just as in fact, their smaller towns are usually subjected to these types of events at a higher level than some of the bigger cities. So, I think we'd be doing a tremendous disservice to the people that live in our communities and work and come to school here if we weren't prepared for the worst case scenarios.
Chief, I just wanted to echo everything you've said. Certainly, we want you to be prepared to defend us to defend our children with every means available to you, every reasonable means that's available to you to combat the threat that's out there. So my hat's off to you.
Okay, just on a lighter note.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
We could talk about, we on August 22nd, we participated in an ice bucket challenge event. We enlisted our partners at the Eastchester Fire Department, the Eastchester Police Department, Bronxville Police Department, and EVAC. We all got together, and we did, but there wasn't enough ice buckets around, so we got literally a 2-minute spray of ice cold water by the fire department. But the most important thing is we raised over $2,000 for ALS research and the Quinn for the Win, which is an organization for ALS from one of our local residents, Patrick Quinn. So it was great to get everyone together, obviously to bring attention to this horrific disease, but more importantly, we raised a considerable amount of money for the project, and I just want to thank all of the other agencies that were involved. I'd like to thank from my department, Evan Piasta, who kind of put it all together and did a great job in that. So thank you to everybody that participated. And just lastly, the last announcement I have is that the TPO is having their annual dinner on Friday, September 26th at 7 p.m. at the Bronxville Women's Club. As everyone that has attended in the past, our own in-house chefs, David Bank and Anthony Solano, will be doing the cooking. We're honoring John DiArco this year. We're expecting a nice turnout, and just get the message out. Anyone who's interested in attending can contact the police desk at 961-4800. So that's all I have this evening.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chief. Frank DeMarco.
I really have nothing to say.
Okay.
I just wanted to stand up here and say hello. I don't know, I'm sorry, I got here a little late.
That's all right. That's okay.
But Breast Cancer Awareness Month is next month. And my DPW employees, and I guess we'll all be wearing our pink shirts, our next village board meeting. But DPWs are proud to wear pink. And we will do that every October.
I saw a couple of guys wearing them today, too, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, they're prepping for October, yes. Yeah, so they're, because they get abused quite a bit wearing the pink, but a lot of people don't realize what the pink is for and what it stands for. And it's funny, but my department wanted to start this last year, and we began doing it, and we're going to make it an annual event.
I was going to talk in my report, but I'll ask you since you're here, and I know we don't want to keep you too late tonight. Maybe you can talk to us a little bit. We had a meeting today. Our village administrator made reference to it about the Crestwood Utility Underground Project, and kind of walk us through a little bit, walk the board members who weren't there as to what's going on and what we're going to be able to do moving forward.
Where do I begin? This started way back. Actually, you were meeting with Con Edison before I even started here several years ago. So this project's got to go back about 8-9 years. I know we had grant funding for it. But what they actually did is brought the overhead wiring underground. It was mandatory with the new building that went up, and the fire department recommended that we take the wires down. It was all part of this due process that we're moving forward. With all the new construction, this overhead wiring, which was also high voltage, it was primary and secondary, so a lot of people didn't realize that. But a lot of the main power lines were being fed by primary lines, which were thousands of volts, into our transformers that we see up on these utility poles, and it brought it down to secondary, which is usable voltage of 110, 220. That is mainly used in the residents and the homes. But we took all that on the ground. It was a major task because of all the obstacles we ran into the road and all the underground facilities that happened to be in our way as we were excavating. But part of that was installing enormous vaults that all the wires and the conduit for the underground wires were being brought into. And that's where the Con Edison employees were stationed in splicing and transforming the overhead into the underground service. But basically, that is all completed. The primary and secondary lines underground have been energized. As of today, all the merchants have been connected. We have all our new service going out to all the new merchants, I'm sorry, to all the existing merchants. Cablevision has moved their lines off the utility poles. Verizon has moved their lines. So it's a collaborative effort with also all these other utility companies.
That's pretty helpful because the last one on the pole has to take the pole down.
Correct.
And I know, I can remember years ago, we were talking, well, what if Cablevision decides to wait an extra year or something like that? That would have put us in a pickle. So I'm glad that I didn't know that until today, that they're off the pole.
Yeah, Coniston, I met with Coniston the past couple of days, and they are scheduling the removal of the utility poles in conjunction with removing the overhead wiring that has been existing historically. But all that should be coming down very soon. We're shooting for an October 1st deadline in removing the overhead and utility poles.
Okay, good.
Other than that, it's been quiet there tonight for the first time in a long time. I know I haven't seen Con Edison there, but we should be seeing little, if not no, trucks down there moving forward. We need about a week just to remove the overhead utilities and utility poles, and that's all I basically see moving forward. They will be there for a little time tomorrow, just brushing up, making their final connections. And they're going to be moving over the power to our trafficking signal.
They were doing that
box that
later
we have
today?
here.
Is that what they were doing? They had that overhead bucket there, they were working on that?
Yeah, there's a little bit of an unsafe situation there, so they didn't want to swing the cables over, so they wanted to do it right. They wanted to spend a little bit more time than needed, and they'll be doing that tomorrow morning at 9:30.
Okay. Good. You stick
Okay.
around tonight?
Yeah, I'll be right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Let's see. Mr. Galuzzi, anything you'd like to talk about tonight? I know you've had a busy week at the community center.
It was busy, and I thank you for mentioning me as chairing up the road race, but I couldn't have done it without the help of so many people. Camille DeSalvo spent many weeks actually training me, getting me more and more involved in the road race, because this year was the first time I ever had to organize and spend a lot of time in detail and bring this event, its 38th year, forward as we did. Also, Greg Luisi and you, Mayor. The rest of the board, with their support, we did a nice job. I thought the residents enjoyed it, and we'll do it again next year. So thank you. Also, I can't help but to mention Claire Gorman, our trustee in the past here in the village of Tuckahoe, spent a lot of time with me, and came out there with Jeff Zuckerman, and they really put together a nice team to help me through that. So thank you. I'd like to give a mention to our 6th annual St. Pio Feast and Music Festival this coming weekend at the Generoso Pope Foundation here in Depot Square. It's brought to us by the Columbus Day Committee of Eastchester and Tuckahoe. The Feast of St. Padre Pio has a lot of Italian entertainment, of course food vendors. It's fun for families, all ages. And it's this coming Friday through Sunday in Depot Square. Friday night we begin in Depot Square with an Italian band at 5 p.m. There is a St. Pio Mass in Italian at 6 p.m., Assumption Church here in Tuckahoe, of course, followed by a traditional procession by the Giglio Band into Depot Square with the St. Pio. Of course, entertainment will continue throughout the evening, and then Saturday night is actually the main night in Depot Square. We call it the Pio Feast and Music Festival. It continues at 5 p.m. with Don Felice and featured trio Tribella. At 8 p.m. that night, Saturday, WKTU Music Fest will be live, and we have several performers, featured performers on stage, including Dev, Chris Willis, Kim Sazi, Vassi, Zach Natari, and it's all hosted by Hollywood Hamilton from KTU, one of the famous legendary radio personalities, Hollywood Hamilton. So you want to come out for that big night, on a big stage, with a lot of lights, a lot of sound. Should be a lot of fun. Sunday is the last day of the PO Festival, and that begins earlier. So it begins at 12 noon, it runs through 7:30 in Depot Square. At 3 p.m., the Primavera Band, featuring Tony. At 5 o'clock, we have a special added feature. Westchester Idol and Italian Idol winner, Jackie DiMaggio, will perform with a tenor, Christopher Macchio. 7:30 is the closing of the festival on Sunday, and the procession of St. Pio will journey back to Assumption Church from Depot Square, of course led by the Giglio Band. At this point will mark the end of the festival. The sponsors for the festival, of course, Generoso Pope Foundation, Giuseppe Garibaldi Lodge, number 2583, Order Sons of Italy. So thank you for your time. I just wanted to give that a mention.
Well, thank you, and I guess I'm going to ask you a quick question. Am I just getting so old that I didn't know any of the names that you were talking about on Saturday? What's
Well, the Saturday show
is it a
features.
dance? What type of music? I guess
It's
just so
up
people-
and coming, cutting edge pop dance music. Correct. That KTU or a station like Z100 would program on their stations.
Okay.
So we have our traditional Italian groups throughout the weekend, but Saturday night from 8 on, we're calling it the Feast and Music Festival in Depot Square. So you get more of that up-to-date, cutting-edge for the kids kind of music, you know.
Good.
They'll want to come out for that.
Yeah, let's hope the weather's good. I think it's going to be well, too. Good.
That's
It's all on the weather, I know that.
there's a lot of prayers before that weekend. All right.
Actually, John, just one question. Will this affect the farmers market? Will they be relocated, or can they still operate on Sunday, do you know?
They would probably have to take a break that Sunday because the vendors are in there and you know, they've been in the parking lot all night. They'll be set up quite. I mean, in that area where the farmers market is. I imagine they'll either take a break or in the past I never remember them being
Actually, I
there.
remember one year they did move over to the Fisher Avenue lot. I don't know, Camille, do we know anything about what they're doing?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, in any event.
Well, it's a really good question. Of course, we'd like to include them wherever they are and wherever we can slide them in. So maybe we'll note that tomorrow. We have a festival meeting, and I'll bring that up.
Okay, appreciate that.
Thank you.
Johnny, is KTU promoting this on the station?
Yes, we've placed several spots on WKTU radio that advertise Tuckahoe, the festival, and the music portion of the program. So Generoso Pope Foundation did take out quite a bit of time on the air.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sounds like a good weekend, thank you. Camille, do you have anything for us tonight? And Gary, anything to report?
Nothing to report
No?
tonight, Mayor.
Okay, slow month. Miscellaneous business, we have our next village board meeting is going to be on October 6th. We have a residents meeting, which is going to be on October 1st, which is going to be held in the Quarry Park, which is the park at the corner of Fisher Avenue and Marbledale Road. And the always favorite, the county shredder, is going to be coming to the Lake Avenue parking lot on October 4th from 10 in the morning to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So bring down your boxes of old bills and records that you want to have shred. And that is going to bring us to our Board of Trustees member reports. And as always, we're going to start with your Deputy Mayor, Tom Giordano.
Thank you, Mayor Eklund. I actually have nothing to report this month.
All right. How about we move over to Trustee Quigley?
Thank you, Mayor.
There's always something going on at the library, I know that.
I will, I'll pass on the regular programs, because you know, if anybody's been listening over the past couple of years, there's so many of the regular programs, but there's some very special ones coming up that I think are worth mentioning. The first is a big one with the Friends of the Library. Their annual book sale is going to be on October 25th and 26th. That's Saturday and Sunday at the Community Center. Right now, they are busy collecting and are looking for any donations among hardcover books, trade paperbacks, children's books, paperbacks, DVDs, and CDs. I don't think VHS tapes are being sought anymore. Please, if you've got anything you want to give, it's a donation to a charitable organization. You can consider a tax break on that. Bring them to the library. Please don't put them outside the library. Come during the hours that the library is open, which is every day from 10:30 to 5:30. Late on Monday and Tuesday night, and now open 10 to 5 on Saturdays. So that's a big fundraiser for the library. Does a lot of good work for that.
and you'll find quite a collection of very interesting books on the 25th and 26th of October. Special programs, including maximizing Social Security benefits and retirement planning. That'll be going on October 15th at 7 o'clock at the library. An expert CPA will be presenting his suggestions and ideas on how to protect your Social Security and retirement. Gentle Chair Yoga is back during September and October on Tuesday evening starting tomorrow. If it's not too late, you can still sign up for these yoga exercises in the library. Safety program for adults called Situational Awareness, How to Keep Yourself Out of Potentially Threatening Situations. This is Peter Tuckahoe. He's a former law enforcement official. I've happened to hear him present before to a different group. He's very good. He'll give you a lot of very practical advice on just how to be aware of what goes on in the streets and anywhere you are, especially in the New York City area. That'll be Wednesday, October 1st at 7 p.m. again at the library. And finally, for people who still haven't ventured into the digital books, they have Nooks, iPads, iPhones, Kindles, and a training class on Monday, September 29th at the library, 7 o'clock. Learn how to digitally download your books. And the library actually has e-readers that they will loan out as part of the program, too. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Luisi.
Thank you, Mayor. I also have very little to report, other than the Tuckahoe seniors will be on their way up to Mount Airy Lodge this month, and their big fundraiser will be taking place in October. I refer you to their website for specific dates, and we kindly ask for October 4th will be the bazaar at Father Fata Hall. That's their big fundraiser of the year, so I encourage everyone to please come out and support our seniors. What I'd like to do is take this opportunity to thank Mayor Eklund and my my colleagues, Trustee Giordano and Quigley, for their support in supporting pediatric cancer. This is the month that sort of got a lot of attention thanks to the Empire State Building, who were asked by a group of parents who were down at Sloan Kettering Hospital if they could just light up the Empire State Building one night for children that are afflicted with cancer, and the Empire State Building, in their infinite wisdom, declined, despite the fact that they illuminated for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle premiere and things of that nature. So what it did was it caused this tremendous backlash, not only here in the New York City, but it also spread across the country. So I guess in a way we owe the Empire State Building Management Company a big load of thanks for what they've done. So what I thought we could do here in the village of Tuckahoe is do the same thing, is simply illuminate the front of Village Hall with a gold light, which we have done, and I again would like to thank Frank DeMarco and his crew for facilitating that to occur. So thank you for that. Pediatric cancer doesn't really get the attention it should deserve in this country, then simply that's because the numbers don't warrant the attention from the pharmaceutical companies, because it doesn't make money for them. But nonetheless, if you know someone who has a child that's affected by this disease, it's truly devastating. On another note, I would like to thank the chief for his quick response to hoping to alleviate that problem we have up at Lake at Maine with the placement of those two signs. Hopefully that's going to alleviate that situation. And it's ironic, just as you were doing that, I was on my way up up to Village Hall, and there was a guy coming down Lake Avenue. But signs are in place. We've done what we can, so thank you for that as well. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. And that situation you're referring to is people who are making a left-hand turn when they go over the Gold Star Mothers Bridge and they're heading towards Yonkers. They're making a left-hand turn onto Lake Avenue, which is one way against them. And it's unfortunate. It happens a lot. So hopefully the additional signage is going to clear that up. Trustee Alfasi?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The only committees that we have that I have is the Tree and the Environmental Committee. And we have former Trustee Gorman in the room, who serves on both of those committees. Would you like to say anything about him? Nothing at this time. And obviously, Claire, not only does she serve on the Tree and Environmental Committee, but numerous committees. She's never stopped serving the village of Tuckahoe. Thank you. And then we also have the Zoning Board Committee that we've started. We have not met formally. We plan on doing that probably this month, although we do have a few ideas.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. I just want to mention that, as everybody knows, school is open, and when this says, please drive carefully, we mean it. So please be very, very cautious around the bus stops. Kids are a little spunky and excited to be back to school, so it takes them a couple of weeks to kind of get with the program. So just please slow down around those bus stops. And with that, we're going to open the meeting up to anyone who would like to address the board tonight. So, yes, our former trustee, Luigi Marcocha, and current town councilman, Luigi Marcocha.
Thank you, Mayor. And I just want to take the opportunity to thank the entire board. Tonight, you approved the extension of the license agreement for the Eastchester Nutrition Center, and that's a big help to us. So the reason why we needed that and the reason why you approved it tonight for us is because if you take a ride over to the catering hall at Lake Isle, you'll see there's no walls up. It's been completely demolished, and they're in the process of putting it all back together again. So it's going to be, a little longer than we thought, and we really do appreciate, your hospitality and taking in our seniors and doing such a great job there for them at the community center. And then I just wanted to also mention, while I'm here talking about Lake Isle, it's been a great season, and I think it's only going to get better. So we got the snack bar open under a new management company, and the reviews have been spectacular, and we're very happy about that. And we really look forward to the completion of the new catering hall, and we think that's going to work out well as well. So and then in terms of golf, pool, tennis. That's all seemed to have gone pretty well this year. And the good news is tennis is now bubbled, so if anyone is interested in playing, you can play all winter long. So go up there, enjoy it, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you for coming
Actually,
down.
Luigi, hang on, just speaking of bubbles, there was talk about maybe covering one of the pools for winter swimming. Any development in that area?
Yeah, you know what? We do continue to talk about that. To be perfectly honest, we've been so busy with everything else we've been doing at Lake Isle there that we do need to spend a little time really honing in on that and making that happen. But yes, it's definitely something that's on the table that we're looking to do. It's quite extensive job to be able to do that, and it requires like rebuilding not the main pool, but maybe like the dive tank. And maybe tiering that in order to get a bubble in there. So as soon as we get done with this catering hall, that's our next focus.
I think you'll get a good response from the community if you do it, so
Yeah.
just in conversations I've had, so that'd be great.
Yeah, and you know what? We've gotten a lot of feedback as well, and there seems to be a very high demand for pool space, particularly indoor pool space in the winter. Not only for teams, but for parties and all kinds of stuff. So I think it will be a really nice thing, and it'll happen, and hopefully sooner rather than later.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Everybody, Jeff Zuckerman, 24 Bronx Street. Why am I here? I'm here on behalf of American Bistro. Denise Horton's here. She gets very excited. So she asked for a very calm guy to come in like myself and speak. Steve Quigley saw me the other night and said, "You're going to come and speak. You're the calm guy." All right. So let's talk. American Bistro has been in business here since 1992, 22 years, paying taxes in town. And I think what I'm going to talk about for a couple of minutes is something that it would be so great if we all could pull together. David could pull together, and the chief, and Frank, and all the board members. We just put our heads on this. We're talking about. I mean, I'm thinking when I look at Tom Giordano, I'm thinking of how somehow we made some progress with Metro North, you know, with the beeping of the horn out there. You know, Claire and I are not up every night now with the beeping of the horn. They actually stopped beeping their horns a lot. You know, there's a little bit of it, but not a lot. But now we got to make some progress with Con Ed. It is, it's an impossible situation. Frank and I have had many conversations about this when they were on our street this winter. The problem is they do a great job cleaning up once they're all done. You know, our street never looked better. Bronx Street never looked better. We got new pavings. Things are great. But before that was done, there were sinkholes left that people almost killed themselves on. There were, our basement was, a part of our basement was completely destroyed. Our alarm system went out for 3 weeks. We weren't around. We were out of town, and they knocked it off the wall in the basement while they were doing things. They're just like bulls in china shops. And most importantly, it's about notice. And I think that's what the village has to get involved with. Notice. You know, I'm the chair of the Tuckahoe Housing Authority. If we want to do insect spraying, you know, if we want our exterminator to come in, we've got rules on how much notice we have to give everybody. We can't just knock on people's door. We have to give them 24 or 48 hours notice. And we do it every month. When we're going to do something with the elevator at 4 Union, we have to give notice. When we're going to cut off the heat or hot water, we have to give notice. But Con Ed doesn't have to give notice. And I think that that's wrong.
Oh, it's very wrong.
Really wrong. You know, I just think, you know, they say it takes a village. What it's going to take somebody, all of us, to do something. It's too late to go to the businesses in Crestwood and say, well, they'll clean up nicely. You know, the street will look great. They'll build a new building there. Everything is going to be great. It doesn't help them when it's over. In the entire process that has happened at American Bistro in front of their store, in front of their restaurant, not once have they ever been given notice of when people were coming. On our street, in Bronx Street, when they came and they were going to redo the gas lines, they told us they were coming in November. They sent the notice around to all the neighbors. We'll be there in a couple of weeks. They showed up at the end of January. No other notice came. We just, wait, where were you? And that was it. Well, we'll be there. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of lawyers out there. Is it true? I mean, can they just answer to no one? Is that it? I mean, do I walk out of here and tell all the businesses there, they answer to no one? That's it. They can do whatever they want, whenever they want. They don't have to tell us. They don't have to let us know when they're coming, when they're not coming. Is that really the end of the story? Because I know we've got, I mean, they were up in the Chiefs neighborhood also working up there, and there were people upset and doing all their stuff. I guess that's my question. I mean, because...
I'll try to answer a little bit.
All right, man. All right. I think I made my point.
Yeah, oh, no, I get it.
And I don't know
I
if
totally
we can
get
do
it.
anything for the businesses there
No,
now. It may be
hands
too late.
down,
But
it's-
that's my question.
Yeah.
Are we really helpless as a village in dealing with Con Ed?
We have a coup-
weren't helpless in dealing with Metro North. We actually made some headway. I don't know what happens next time, and that's the only question.
When Con Ed was working on Bronx Street and then up on Hollywood Avenue, if you folks, yourself and Sheila Clark and some of the other residents up there, if they hadn't explained to us what was going on, I mean, look, we know it's a tiny village. We're driving by, but Con Edison has a habit of, it's just their policy. They will not give us the notice that I would give in my own private business, that I'm required to give a property owner when I'm going to go ahead and build scaffolding on your building. Hands down, I have to do that. The problem that we face, and I'm just going to talk about the project in front of Denise's business, the American Bistro restaurant down there, is that we, for lack of a better word, we have to get into a situation where we are begging them to start the job, begging them to actually start the project, to get them to commit to specific days in which they're going to go ahead and do it when they started this project earlier this year is impossible, absolutely impossible. We ended up having to hire somebody. This board, we hired somebody to basically be a watchdog for our interest for Con Edison, because we need to make sure that when Con Edison is done and they give us a bill for $5 million saying that they've had all these trucks out there with people sleeping in them or whatever they're doing, that no, we have our own accounting of exactly how many man hours and what was actually getting done. So we have done all we can. Frank will get a notice at the day before that they're going to be pulling some cable tomorrow morning. That's the notice we get. That's the notice that we get. But anyway, I always, you know me, I'm a realist. I like to get to where am I at 5 minutes to 9 o'clock on September 15th. Okay? I know all the wrongs that have occurred against the village. I know all the wrongs that have occurred against the businesses down there. But I know that at 5 minutes to 9, after having a meeting at Denise's, that the Chamber of Commerce put together at Denise's establishment, and talking to Frank and going across the street, talking to the Con Ed guys who were there today, we pretty much know what's left now. There's very little left. Everything, all the underground work has been energized and done. There are still lines that are overhead. There's still poles. Well, there's one pole in front of her restaurant, and there's a pole at the corner of Fisher and Columbus Avenue, and there's one down that's actually inside the construction zone so that's not interfering with anything because there's a fence around that. So there's a pole in front of her business, there's a pole at the corner, and then there's some on the other side when you get down towards, heading up towards Dante. So those lines have to come down, and the poles get cut. So I asked the Con Ed, or we asked the Con Ed guy today, I said, okay, does it take a day to do all this work, to pull the lines will be de-energized? Is it one day to do that? He says, no, it'll probably take about a week. The restaurants, or the businesses who were at the meeting today, they've asked, can we request that the work is not done on a Friday night when the restaurant is busy, when the pizza parlor is busy? Can they do it in the middle of the night? Can they do it at times that would be best suited for them? We're going to ask that question. We're going to demand as best as we can demand and, put our foot down that that's when we need it done. We'll find out the best opportunity to get it done. We're just about done, though. We're just about there. The next conversation we're going to have, which is with the contractor. Fortunately, he's our contractor. He's not a Con Ed contractor. The one who's going to be doing the restoration of the curbs and the sidewalks there. That's our guy. So we can tell him, I can tell him right now I want him to start in an hour. He's going to have to come out in an hour. He works for us. Con Ed does not work for us, unfortunately. They should work for us because we write them a check each month.
Right.
I certainly write them a check each month, large enough. But look, it's terribly frustrating for the businesses, and not only is it frustrating, but it's hurting their business. I get it. I totally get it. It's frustrating for me. It nearly wiped me out when they did a gas project in front of my business years ago for a year. They closed the street down. My business was shut for 12 months. I couldn't get inside my building. I had to walk my merchandise, and I got big trucks. We had to walk everything from around the corner into our property. How insane is that? Just the streets closed for a year.
It's amazing Angelina's made it through what was going on in
Exactly.
Yonkers Ave.
Yeah,
I understand. And I understand this horse left the barn a long time ago. I think I'm talking also for futures. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just so rough. Having lived through it on our little street and hanging out with the people on
Well, you see, Con
Columbus.
Ed's working on Lake Avenue now, too.
What's that?
They're doing a gas project on Lake Avenue in Armour Villa, I
Armour,
should
down,
say,
yeah.
right, yeah.
And they did the same
So-
thing. The same thing occurred. The notices were handed out
The day before, or the night before or
the
something?
day the trucks were actually excavating the street.
All right, guys, I appreciate you listening. I know
Frustration
we're
is-
all on the
see
same
is-
page on
yeah.
this.
Oh,
I just
no
ask you
question
to be
about it.
mindful going forward with everybody, everybody in the village.
Look, the good thing about, and thank you, Denise, for hosting it today, the good thing is that it allowed us to kind of do a little brainstorming in terms of what can we do for parking issues, for meter parking, and we need a couple of more days to put some of our thoughts together, and then we're going to circle back with, maybe we channel it through the chamber again. But David will be our point person for all that information to get it out to the businesses. We've got some thoughts that we're going to work on, so.
I don't know if there's any, I know you probably discussed it there. I don't know if there's any bone to throw those merchants there with, no charge for meters for a while. I know
Even the
that's
merchants
tough.
realize, someone said, hey, bag the meters, but believe it or not, most of the merchants are like, don't bag the meters. You bag the meters, people are gonna park there and go to work in the city. So they understand that.
That's another
Yeah.
point. I
It's
understand.
just a matter of, look, we're almost there. We're in the ninth inning. Let's
Thanks
just-
for listening.
Jeff,
Absolutely.
and just, I know this doesn't help, but we're not the only municipality going through this. Yeah, it's all throughout the state when it comes to Con Ed, because they're they're a utility. There's only a board that oversees them. It's a governmental board, and you know, that's about the only one who's gonna make them, work favorably. The MTA, we don't have much say-so over the MTA either, but they've been more responsive to
More
us.
responsive.
I think what helped there was Tom was in Grand Central and he got like the vice president of MTA. He was standing right there, and I think kudos to Tom for not letting that guy walk out of Grand Central Station without giving him an answer.
David, was it as bad where you came from? Yeah.
Certain projects, yes.
I don't know.
Just with the association, we hear that all the time, it's just, that's how they operate.
I don't know. All right, guys.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak to us tonight? Yes, ma'am.
Mayor,
Good evening.
trustees, Melba Caliano here. I try to be a good citizen. I try to participate. I try to watch your meetings. If I don't watch your meetings, I read your minutes. I was reading the August 18th minutes for this past month, and reference was made that the zoning code committee was being formed, and that it would include Ron Gallo, Bill Williams, David Burke, and Trustee Alfasi, I guess, is the proponent of it, or at least the coordinator of it. I'm here as a citizen, but I would like to suggest and encourage that you consider appointing a planning board member to that committee. I'd also like to suggest and encourage that you consider appointing a citizen representative to that committee. And a member of any other board that may happen to utilize the zoning code, refer to the zoning code, or is governed by the zoning code. So I'd like to encourage you to include planning board people, citizen representatives, and any other boards that I may not have thought of on that committee, because our zoning code does govern all the development in our village, as you know, and it's really important, I think, that you get a wide representation on that committee. So I'm hoping you'll take that seriously and consider appointing someone.
I did get your email,
All those,
although it wasn't sent to me, but I did eventually get it through the mayor.
That's fine. I'm encouraging you to follow up on it based on my suggestions. So,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else tonight? Well, if not, we have no other business tonight. I will ask for a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Do I have a second to that?
Second.
Till next time, Tuckahoe, have a very good evening.